Hello and welcome back to the channel with me, the Orienteering Kid, where today we're in Gammelby for the first day of the Swedish Forest Cup. Yes, we're here for the start of the Swedish Forest Cup, which is a 9-day series being organised by Christian Entberg and can be found here on the Tempo Simulator, as with most of these events, the link to which can be found in the description of this video. Now, it's the Swedish Forest Cup, so I'm expecting forests, obviously, so it's going to be very hard. Christian did do a forest event during the Taurus Cup of Autumn 2020, and that was very hard, so I don't really know what to expect from today, how well I'll do, but yeah, it's just going to be great fun whatever happens. So let's have a go at the first day of the Swedish Forest Cup, and we're going into the section where it says races, and we're into day 1, which today is a 1 to 2,500 map with 5-meter contours. There are 4 stations. However, the biggest change today will be that there is a penalty of 60 seconds for every incorrect answer. Now normally it's 30 seconds, but the penalty's been doubled. I'm guessing that's because the course will be hard and it'll take a lot of work to get the right answers, so we're going to have to take it a bit slower today, try and read the terrain properly. The zero tolerance is 4 meters with no side problems. It is forest, but it was originally mapped in 1988 to a 1 to 15,000 scale, and now we're going down to 1 to 2,500 scale. Now he has said that the maps have quite literally just been scaled down, so there may be a couple of errors in distancing, so we've got to try and bear that in mind and not say, oh, this boulder is the wrong boulder because it's too far away from the path. If it fits all the other features, it will probably be the right one. And also, pitches are generally going to be 120 degrees, so that's quite a wide angle for some of these competitions, so we're just going to have to bear that in mind as well, and obviously observe the longer time penalty and answer time, because we now have 5 minutes to do a station instead of 2.5. Not that that's too much of an issue. I'll probably still do these in under 2.5. As always, my answers will be appearing in the top right hand corner of the screen, so you can see exactly what I'm putting at the moment that I do. And new this time, I'm going to try and put the answers that I get wrong in red, so you know whether they are correct or not, and know whether to believe me or not when we go into the next section. But with that, let's have a go at the first day of the Swedish Forest Cup. And here is station 1. Okay, there is a lot of rockery. I'm not really surprised by that. Bravo looks like it's on top of a knoll. Right. Could that be the knoll? That looks like it could be the line of rocks. That could be the top of the hill. Yeah, I can believe that one's Bravo. That knoll. That could be Foxtrot. In the re-entrant. Could be Charlie. Balls are all the way over there. I think that one's a 0. And the first boulder, I think that's Echo. So 45 seconds was normally quite a slow station, but I think that's probably going to be alright today. That was very hard because there was just a load of rocks and then suddenly there's only 4 on the map, but that is normal Swedish mapping. I possibly should have mentioned before that quite a lot of Swedish mapping includes the open land symbol, so the yellow being bare rock, and so when the first task came up and it was a hill with open land, I was immediately looking at Bravo and going, that's bare rock on the top of a hill. That was very hard. This is probably setting a precedent for the final 3 stations, and I don't really think I got much of that wrong. I think I managed to fit all that together, but we will see afterwards. I'll try and explain that better once we've done all the stations, but we will move on now to station 2. Okay, that's more rockery. That looks like the hill. That hill there. Could be, if that's that crag round there, which it probably is, then that's got to be a 0, but then that doesn't fit. Crag, hill, spur. That's the path, is it? Yeah, if that's the path, that's a 0. Okay, maybe that wasn't the path, but I think it probably is still a 0. Is Echo there? I don't think Echo's there, is it? That's on top of that, which could be... I think I'm going 0 again. Western Crag, northeastern part. I think that's Charlie. That takes us to the knoll. That side would fit as... I was about to say would fit as Foxtrot. No, I think that's another 0. And that thing there. I'm going with Alpha. And that was another very hard station. I'm not sure I can really tell you exactly what's going on there, actually. I think that was a lot harder than Station 1. And it definitely took me twice as long to do. So we will have to see what happens there. I've put 3 zeros, but I doubt it probably will be 3 zeros. There just didn't seem to be much going on in the rockery again. And I was trying to fit spurs and the crags at the back. But yeah, that was another tough one. So we will have to see that again afterwards. But we will just move straight on. We'll forget about that for now and we'll move on to Station 3. Okay, there's the 6 Echoes on top of the one that Foxtrot is below. That's Spur, 2 knolls, that fits as Delta, that knoll is Bravo, that crag top of would be Echo, that knoll is a 0 and that knoll is Charlie. And if I fitted that right, that is possibly going to be a winning time. 17 seconds is my normal time for a urban station, but this is in forest and this should be taking twice as long. So I don't really know how I did that, but I think I just about managed to fit it all together. Bravo and Charlie on the 2 knolls, Alpha on the spur to the left of them, Echo at the top of the crag, Foxtrot at the bottom of the crag, and Delta on the spur with the crag on it, and that seemed to work quite well. But I'm happy with that one. That one went a lot better. So we will go on now to Station 4. Okay, so there's a lot more to work with now. Where's that wall? That's an interesting one. So we want that crag, and we want the foot of the crag round there. If that's that knoll, that could work. That would put Charlie there. Can I believe that? You know what, I think I can. Let's go with Charlie. Because I reckon that one's Alpha. Now this is either going to be very right or very wrong, and I think it is now actually very wrong. I'm looking at Delta now. I think that one's Delta. Or maybe I was right, okay. So that one would then be Delta. Yeah. Or maybe not. I think that one is Echo on the top of there. And I've put Delta twice, but I think the second one is probably wrong compared to the first one. 230 seconds is longer than I've taken on a 9-station event last week. I'm not really surprised by that. Let's see if we can make some sense of these maps. The first station I thought was probably the second easiest in this. I thought Station 3 was definitely the easiest. But we come in and we just have a load of rock. So what could we use to try and fix us in the right location? Now what I can see is a boulder just behind Charlie there. And because that is the only massively distinct boulder, I'm going with that one as the massive black dot there. And with that, and with the knowledge that I said before about bare rock being mapped as yellow, you can see there's a bit of yellow here, just north of the boulder, and then we want on top of a hill. So coming from this boulder, we have the bare rock here with the top of the hill, which puts that one as Bravo. So I think that one is Bravo, and that's all the detail we've really got to use at the moment. But then we come to the next task and we want the top of a knoll. And in coming from where Bravo Bravo was. There is the re-entrant with Charlie in, which we will come to. There does seem to be a bump here, or maybe there's 2 bumps there, and maybe this one should actually be on that tree there. But I think what I saw is we come down the hill. It's obviously a 5-meter contour. That's quite a lot. And I have this bump here and then this bump here. And I'm presuming those are the 2 knolls. It's not very clear, and I appreciate that. It is very hard terrain. But I think that's the first knoll and that's the second knoll. So I think that one is Foxtrot. But we will have to see afterwards. I'm still going quite tentatively. We then go into the re-entrant. And if we are believing that Bravo was the answer to the first task, then we've already said that Charlie must be in that re-entrant. So I think that one is Charlie. And then we go to a boulder to the right hand side, and I think if we are believing that Foxtrot is here, then we must be stood back here looking over there, and so the boulder will be about behind Foxtrot. So I think that's the boulder there, and that's got nothing on it, so I believe that one is a 0, although again I'm still not completely sure. And then we come to the first boulder in this line, or that curve, and this I'm presuming comes back up a hill, so there must actually be a hill behind us, and so this must all be coming downwards, and that's what this slope kind of does. We also see the knoll of Foxtrot, and these 3 seem to make a triangle of the 2 knolls and the boulder, which I believe is the boulder that Echo is on. I can't really see it being anything else. I think there's a second boulder poking in here, which I think is this one, so I believe that one is Echo. But that's my thinking for that station. It may be completely wrong, but everything seemed to flow from the boulder at the back, so I'm pretty sure that is all correct. We will have to see at the end though. And then we come to station 2, and I will mention now that I have almost certainly cut out about 10 minutes of footage of me deliberating over this station, trying to work out actually what was going on. But I'm going to say very tentatively that I've got it now. I believe that Charlie and Delta are on the top of this hill with all the crags. That would make sense with all the rock. We then have this boulder here, which could be that there. Then you come down the hill, and that's what this contour is. We don't really go up. I don't think it's high enough to go up. Alpha seems to be on a boulder to the left hand side, so it's probably that boulder there, and we want the top of the hill, or the part of the hill, on the right hand side. Now I believe, looking at Foxtrot, I think it's on the foot of this crag, and the hill is going to be behind it, or the hill is over here maybe actually, and so I think this one is a 0. It took me 27 seconds to do. I'm not really surprised. I think this station was very hard, but I think this one is a 0. I think I might have got lucky with that. We then come across to a boulder, and I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking this one is probably Echo. I was deliberating over it for a while, but I thought that maybe Echo was on this spur instead, but it looks way too far back to be it, and so I think now this is definitely Echo. So that is one mistake, so that takes me to 290 I think. And then we head up into the crags, and we want between the 2 crags, specifically the western crag, but we want the foot of it because nothing else is really mentioned, and we want the northwestern part of it, and because it bends all the way around the hill, I think it goes a lot further back, and so I think this one potentially is Charlie because it's between the 2 crags. I can also believe it should actually be 4 meters to the right, but I think that doesn't fit too greatly with the boulder of Echo, so I think that one is Charlie. And then we move to a knoll to the right hand side, but again, if we're believing that Foxtrot is on one of the craggy bits over here, then it's not going to be Foxtrot because it's not on the knoll, so I'm pretty sure again that one is a 0. And then we come right across and we want another boulder. I believe that is the boulder here that Alpha is on, and so I believe that one is Alpha because that fits with the crag and the hill. But to be perfectly honest, that could all be wrong. We could actually be stood here, for example. That could fit that path, or the path's just not mapped. I really don't know. You will know because you'll have seen all the red letters, but we will see. One station I am very confident on is this one because I think all the features were there, and I think this is possibly going to be quite a quick station for a fair few of you. What I saw here was a sort of spur here with Alpha near the end of it. I saw another spur here that comes out a bit, and there's a crag potentially with Echo and Foxtrot. That's what it turns out to be, and Bravo and Charlie could plausibly be on 2 knolls. So coming in, that seems to be the left hand spur, this seems to be the right hand spur with the crag. There's 2 knolls, that will be Bravo and Charlie, and so I came across and said Delta's on that spur. That didn't take me too long to do. I think I'd managed to sort stuff out. We then come to the left hand of the 2 knolls, so I was straight away with Bravo, and then up to the crag and up the top of the crag, so you've got to make sure you're getting top or bottom correct, and Echo is on the top, so I'm pretty sure that one is Echo on the right hand crag. And then we go behind this crag track and the spur with Delta, and we want a null on this sort of spur, and I believe that's going to be halfway between Delta and Echo, around there, not the two nulls which are Bravo and Charlie as we said, and so I'm pretty sure that one's a 0, and then we move to this right hand null of this pair of 2. So I think that one is Charlie, and I think that was actually quite a nice station and a good change of pace. That's definitely going to counteract a couple of my mistakes if I made them, and again I may just be completely wrong, and I may be seeing this the completely wrong way, so we will have to see that later. Again, you will know already. But then we moved to station 5, and I think this one was absolutely horrible. I was struggling to see the wall. I had not much idea where we were. I think when I finally managed to work it out, I think I might have seen the crag here. I saw this bump here and thought Alpha's on that bump, and then I saw this bump down here and thought Bravo is on the bump, but I can now see there's a shorter cane of Bravo, and so I think it's actually on this crag. And so looking at it, maybe the answer to this one is Bravo. That would fit this long crag being the one back there with Delta and Echo on it, and Charlie is just going to be quite a long way back, maybe on this point actually of the crag coming up. So I am now thinking that that one is Bravo. Again, this may be completely wrong, we will have to see later, but I think that one is Bravo. And then we jump back to that hill, and I'm pretty sure that one is Alpha, sort of on that platformy shape with the crag forming around it. I can believe that one. And then we go up to the top of the hill, and we have this triangular shape, and then we have what actually looks like a null there, and I think that one is a 0. That would work because you have the null there, that hill with Delta on, and then that sort of form line with Echo on, and I think I have now solved it, but I think I've made 3 mistakes right at the end. So I think this one is a 0 because I believe it's on that null. Let's have a look at the other 2. This one then comes a long way out, and if we're believing that Alpha and Foxtrot and that 0 over there were right, this must be another 0 because I think Foxtrot is here, and so this will be miles back. So I think both the instances I put Delta were both 0s, and then I think this one might actually be Delta now because of the null there that we can just about see. We have this hill, and then we have the form line, which is this one here. So I think that one is now Delta. I think that is 3 mistakes to end the day. Let's say it was 1 mistake in station 2, not that I really know. So that's another 240. That puts my score at 470, and I don't really know what to do with that. That could be really good, that could be really bad. I don't really know. Let's have a look, and we are in... Scrolling. Still going. Are we not on the leaderboard yet? Or are we all the way down here? No, we're not on the leaderboard yet. Let's try refreshing. Oh, we're there. Ah, I completely missed that on the first scroll down. I'm in 173rd. I'm not really surprised by that. Stations 2 and 4 threw me quite a lot, and I've probably done station 3 wrong that quickly looking at that. So yeah, that's probably a few more mistakes as well. You all already know that. But we will see how low we actually end up, and I will join you later on for the overall result. And we are back, and you can see that I have dropped slightly. We've gone from about 170th, I think it was, to 190th. With quite a round score of 650. It seems I did actually make 7 mistakes rather than 4. A lot more than I thought I did, so we are going to have a proper look over some of them. Firstly, it's very well done to Marit for winning the event with no mistakes in 160 seconds. I think that is really good. There's definitely a fair few in the top with no mistakes. In the top 15, only 2 made 2 mistakes, and only 7 made 1 mistake, so I think it was very well answered from the top guys today. In terms of where the event was won, I think it was mainly in stations 2 and 4, where most of the errors were made in the top 15, 20 people. It looks like definitely 24 tripped most of them up, and also almost all of them in station 4. So we will have a look at the percentages now, and with station 1, I'm guessing it's the second task is going to be the worst one, but they are going to be fairly low percentages, and I was right with the second task with 25% getting it right. This was the only station I was clean on, but I can definitely agree that the second task in particular was the hardest, and there was a fair spread of wrong answers, most of you going with 0, but there was still quite a few for Echo, Delta and Charlie as well. I think to me the answer was clear as Foxtrot, but I had managed to fit those things together, so we will have a look at that one. And also the last 2 tasks, the 0 0. Most people put Delta or Foxtrot if they were getting it wrong, but half of you managed to notice it was a 0. And also the final task being Echo was slightly less well answered. 269 thought it was a 0, and there were still a few for Charlie and Delta, and a couple for Bravo as well. So we will have to have a look at that. I think to me it was clear once you'd realised that quite a lot of the rock wasn't mapped as boulders, and you got a sense of the slope as well. I think it was clear that with the Echo boulder being at the bottom of the slope, that was going to be the first one in the line. But I can definitely also believe some of you might have thought it's the second one in the line, for example, and so a 0. But to be honest, those percentages I'm thinking are going to be quite high compared to some of the other stations. So very well done for that. But with station 2, I think there's already a lot of red, and it's definitely a spread of red as we go. And it's not actually as bad as I thought. The lowest percentage here was 42%, with 300 realising it was Charlie. I think I put Charlie for this one. To me, I thought this was possibly the clearest task in this station, being between the two crags, but some of you also went with Delta and Echo, and I can believe that because there was a lot of rocky areas around that, and a few went with 0 as well. To be honest, even afterwards I still didn't really know exactly where we were, but I thought Charlie definitely fitted. And the fourth task as well, with Foxtrot, only slightly less of you went with 0, and a few went with Echo as well. That was potentially some miscounting. To me, I thought Foxtrot was on the crag, but it seems like it was actually on the knoll, so we will have to have a look at that one. And also the final task, I thought Alpha was very clearly on a boulder, and with it being the final task, I would have thought quite a lot of you would have fitted the area together, but a fair few of you went with Bravo and a few with 0 as well, so we will have to have another look at that one. But overall, that station was actually much better answered than I thought it would be, so very well done if you managed to get those right. Then we moved to station 3, and this was definitely my quickest station, but it does seem like I made a mistake in this one, and I think this is possibly going to be the worst answered task, and it is with the second task. It seems that 417 went with Alpha, but 155 put Bravo, which is what I put, and 62 went with Charlie, and there were a couple for 0 as well. I thought Alpha was on the spur, but it does seem like it was actually on the left hand knoll, and the spur must have gone further left, so we will have another look at that one again. But as I kind of expected, the other percentages here aren't that bad. The 60%, the 80%, they are actually very well answered, and most of you managed to get the 0. That was definitely the best answered task in this station, so very well done to you for doing so. And then finally we have station 4, and I'm not really surprised this is the reddest. We are going to hit me there in 479th. There's so much red, and it is unsurprisingly almost all below 50%. Looking at these numbers, they are really spread across the wrong answers. Quite a lot of you zeroed the first task, but there were still a fair few putting the actual controls that weren't the correct answer. But 272 realised it was Bravo. 394 went with Alpha, but again there was still quite a few of you going with Charlie. Less of you going with 0 though, and with the 2 zeros, the first one, only 22% realised it was a 0. 435 of you went with Delta, and 64 also went with Echo, which I think were the two clearer ones on the top of the hill now. But Charlie also on what looked like a knoll or top of hill. I'm not surprised 35 of you went with that. The second 0 was a lot better answered though, but I definitely doubted myself with the first 3 tasks and put Delta again, as did 63 other people. And we had a few for Echo and a few for Foxtrot as well. But well done to the 376 of you that realised that one was also a 0. And then we came back to another hill, and if you put Delta for 43 like I did, I'm not surprised almost as many of you put Echo for 45 like I did, because I was just going one hill along from where Delta was. But 163 managed to notice that one was Delta, and I'm presuming that was similar people to those that got 0 right with 160 of you. So well done if you did in fact manage that. But we will go have another look at this whole station again, because these are definitely the lowest percentages of the day. But with that, let's go back and have a look at the things for the day. I will just add that I have noticed that Libor has completely updated the website, and I do love it. It is great, so thank you for doing that, Libor. I know you put a lot of effort into that. So with station 1, I think this was fairly well answered for the first station, getting used to the map and everything. It was mainly tasks 2 and 4 which were the worst answered. Most of you managed to notice that Bravo was on top of the hill, so in working down from that, there are so many rocks here, so how are you going to identify which 2 are the knolls? Well, you have to kind of use the re-entrant that we used for task 3 being in there. So going from there, the next massive bump that could be a knoll is behind this tree here, and then to me the next one along from that is the one that Foxtrot is on. Now the cane does come down the rock a bit, so some of you might have thought it's on a specific side. However, it is still clearly on top, so I am happy with that one definitely being on top of a knoll, and it is the right knoll. So I was happy with that one being Foxtrot. I can see why that would have tripped quite a few of you up though. And also the fourth task being on a boulder, I think we are definitely going up the hill. So using these contours, we know it will be on a similar height to where Charlie is, and in saying so, we're going round the hill and we go below the Delta kite and above the Echo and Foxtrot kite. So that one to me is definitely a 0. Delta just seems to be on the top of the hill somewhere, kind of between these two boulders, and I think you can see them there, and we want this boulder, so that one is definitely a 0. So I think there were many ways of identifying that, especially with the contours, which I did just spot, but well done if you did manage to get that. And also this final task being Echo, I can see why quite a few of you might have zeroed it, because it could just be one of the nulls, and you may have potentially thought that that was the other null, but to me it comes down from the re-entrant of Charlie, and knowing that these two are the two nulls, it does seem to fit. So I think that one to me was clearly Echo. And you can also see that with this one being the next one in the line, there doesn't really seem to be any more this side. But I'm not really surprised that one tripped quite a few of you up. I think this as Station 1, if you weren't really used to some of the Swedish mapping, you probably will have struggled. But well done at least for getting some of those tasks right, as I think most of them were fairly well answered. Station 2 then, it seems I only made 2 errors, but it seems to be that my 2 errors were quite well answered tasks. I think I can now see, and I was definitely coming round to this afterwards, that this should be Echo on the boulder. I did in the competition think that it was possibly Echo, but I also thought Echo was on the end of this spur. I can now see that that is completely ridiculous. I think this is potentially an issue with the wide angle photo, but I can believe that one is definitely Echo because it's close enough to that boulder. This one wasn't too well answered, and I was a bit surprised by that. Quite a few put Echo, but I think with Echo being the task before on the boulder, some of you may have just not realised it properly and thought you got it wrong. But I can see there's a bit of rock there, so it could easily be the crag instead of the boulder. And a few put Delta, and I think it definitely is between Delta and Echo, but Delta to me was on the top of the crag, and as much as we want the western crag, which is the upper one, because it's just crag, it's not top of, it's just crag, we want the foot of the crag. So it can't be Delta because it's on top of the crag. We want the one that's on the foot of the crag, so is Charlie. I can also agree that Charlie may look too far back and you might actually want it here, but knowing that this boulder is where Echo is, the crag is actually further back than you think. They don't actually merge there, and so Delta is actually on the end of this crag, and so Charlie is a bit further back in the centre of the circle. So that one now is clearly Charlie, and I think this station is probably starting to fit a lot better for some of you. I got this one wrong, but I can definitely see that this one is now Foxtrot. I thought that this was potentially the crag, but you can see now that the crag is this thing behind it with the hill behind that. So you come forward from the crag and you hit the knoll. However, I wouldn't have necessarily said that Foxtrot is on the eastern side of it. I would have definitely said the northern side of it. I think that is because actually it's a 120-degree photograph. So because of that, it looks like Foxtrot is on the northern side of it, but it's actually on the eastern side of it. Christian did warn about the 120-degree photos, but I don't know whether I like the tasks being like that because it just doesn't quite look right to me. But I can now agree that that's definitely on the eastern side of it. It's just because of the 120-degree angle. But yeah, that was what was throwing me a bit and made me put 0, as well as me thinking it was probably on the wrong feature. That just added to it, but I can agree now that it is actually on the right side and that is the right feature. So that one is Foxtrot, and I am very surprised about this one. Maybe some of you thought it was on the small contour back here, but to me, once we fitted those crags, we just came off the crags. And I know it doesn't quite look correct to scale, but remember we are on 1 to 2,500 maps that have been scaled from 1 to 15,000, and there may be slight irregularities. So we do have to remember that and know that the boulder comes from these crags, and that does seem to be the boulder that Alpha is on in about the right place. So I am surprised that quite a lot of you zeroed that, but I think to me that one is definitely Alpha. But yeah, I do think this was a very hard station, and I think it was definitely better answered than Station 1. I found it tough, but it does seem like most of you didn't, so very well done. And I thought Station 3 was very easy, but it does seem like I did make one mistake. I think it was the main mistake for most of you, and I can see why. I had Bravo and Charlie on the 2 knolls, and I hadn't really noticed this triangular contour behind the Charlie knoll. That is actually what Bravo is on, and you can just about see that that is slightly further back than this Charlie Charlie knoll. So Bravo is definitely there, and so Alpha is on this small knoll there, and that one is definitely Alpha, and you can actually see the spur doesn't come to where Alpha is, it comes round there. So I am happy with that one being Alpha rather than Bravo, and I'm not really surprised it tripped me up. I think maybe I should have slowed down a bit. I thought I could do this station quickly. It seems like I could do most of it quickly, just not that specific one. But that is why the 60-second penalty is there. We should be slowing down a bit, and that is how it goes sometimes. The rest of the station though I do think was very well answered, and I don't think it was the hardest of stations, but I think it was a very nice station to throw in to try and speed us up going into the final station, which I didn't answer very well at all, so I think was very successful. This first one we've said is Bravo now. That fits a lot, and it does seem like I was right in seeing Alpha being there. But then we come to the main two errors for this station. It was mainly 43 and 45 that people got wrong, and people mainly did what I did and go Delta and then Echo. But I can now clearly see a bump in the land there, which must be the knoll, and because it's all on this crag line high up, we know that there is a crag there with the knoll, and then we have this contour which is the Delta bump, and then we have this little bump here which is the half contour with Echo on top. And so when noticing that, we have the knoll, nothing is on the knoll, so that one is a 0. Most of you managed to get this one, but it still tripped me up because I thought maybe I'd just got the rest of the station wrong already, but that one is clearly another 0 now, because Foxtrot is on this crag here, which is this crag here, and it's miles back. So that one also did trip me up, and I'm not really surprised. And then we went back to the hill, and if you got 43 wrong as Delta, you would have done what I did and put 45 as Echo. But it is now clear that it is definitely Delta as we've counted the bumps again. And I do think that was a very hard day, and it's definitely setting a precedent for what the rest of the days are going to be like. But I am definitely looking forward to all of them. As much as I've made 7 errors today, again, this is really some of my weaker areas, and I think it's definitely something I need to work on. So I am really looking forward to 8 more days where I can work on all this very intricate and interesting terrain. But with that, we will look at the overall results for the week, but it will be mainly the clubs and countries because we all know the competitors by now. And so with the clubs, it does seem like LS37 has managed to take the lead this time, and Polisportiva Massi are in second. Now this doesn't happen often, but I think they've definitely coped with the Swedish terrain a lot better, and that is quite interesting to see. So we will have to see how that plays out across the rest of the week. Just remember, it is your best 8 scores of 9, so we can only have one off day again like last week. And then we have MTV Season in 3rd place, and MDoc only 0.27 points behind them, so it is already very close for 3rd place, and Turin are only just behind them, and the Slovaks only just behind them. So it's definitely really close as we're going into day 2. And with the countries, it does seem like the Finns have managed to take the lead. I'm not really surprised by that. It's definitely North European terrain with all the woodland, and the Swedes are in 2nd. Again, it's their country, they're used to the maps, and so I'm not really surprised by that. The Italians are only down in 3rd though. Really, this doesn't happen often, but I think it is just the differences in terrain that's throwing them a bit. So we will have to see if they can claw it back over the next few days and take it all the way to 1st. But yeah, it does look like it's going to be a much more interesting week this week, with some different countries and clubs taking the first positions after we've gone from event 1. And you'll have to join me tomorrow and for the rest of the week to see how this plays out. But for now, that is the end of today's video. Just remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It does make sure you get notified whenever I release a video, although you'll potentially have to hit the bell next to the subscribe button just to make sure you are getting them all. And also remember to keep sharing these videos, keep getting more Orienteers in on Trello, and just expanding the community that we have. And also, as always, comment down below any extra analysis that you think is useful to the stations, and also any extra things that you think I should do in these videos. And I will join you again tomorrow for day 2 of the Swedish Forest Cup.